welcome to Bourbon and a Baby. My name is Jay, and thanks for joining me for another bourbon review episode. Max will not be joining us today because, well, you know, he's a baby. Today I'm going to be reviewing Jim Beam Repeal Batch. The reason I picked this one, there's a couple of reasons actually for today's review. One is that so far every bourbon I've reviewed on this channel has been either 100 proof or higher. So Repeal Batch is at 86 proof, so I wanted to go something a little bit lower proof. And also this is a bourbon, at least for now, that you should be able to find relatively easily. It's a relatively affordable bourbon as well. So let's get into it. As you can see, I've already opened this one up. So the idea behind Jim Beam Repeal Batch is that this was put out as kind of a limited edition, and we don't know what that means because they haven't said how limited this is going to be. It's not limited to the point where you can't find it in the store, because it is, you know, I've never not been in the store and not seen it. But I'm imagining that it's just probably not going to be available forever. So we don't know when it's going to go away. So we're going to dive into it and see if maybe you should stock up and buy a couple before it does disappear from the shelves. So as I said, this is 86 proof. So if you were to compare that to the standard Jim Beam White Label, we have here. Jim Beam White Label is 80 proof, and Jim Beam White Label is chill filtered. Jim Beam Repeal Batch is non-chill filtered. That's going to be the biggest differences between the two, is that non-chill filtration and then that little bit less water added after the fact with the 86 proof over the 80 proof Jim Beam White Label. And the idea behind the Repeal Batch is just kind of, they put this out around Repeal Day in 2018, and just to kind of honor that heritage or legacy of, you know, the end of Prohibition. So let's go ahead and give this a nose. By the way, I'm drinking this out of, I don't know if you can see very well, I'll try to get a close up here. I'm drinking this out of a Jim Beam snifter glass. So let's go ahead and give it a nose. Right off the bat, I'm getting like some fresh fruits, like which is interesting. I don't remember normally getting that off of like Jim Beam White Label. Yeah, almost like an apple a little bit. I'm not a huge. If you know me personally, you know I'm not a big fruit eater, so that I have a hard time placing, when I get a fruity smell, I have a hard time placing it. Maybe a little bit of a green apple, but also a little bit citrusy. And then now I'm getting some cinnamon, which is pretty traditional off of a bourbon, especially a rye bourbon. I do get a little bit of the ethanol. This is around a 4-year-old, as far as we know, product. I pick up some char from the barrel. And now I'm really starting to hit that vanilla note. That's really starting to come in a little bit stronger over that cinnamon. That like fresh fruit is really kind of throwing me. Like I said, I'm not used to getting that, and I don't remember picking that up before. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. I really like this. I hit that spice right up front. Hits you first thing. Kind of that rye spice, almost like taking a bite out of rye bread, really. A little bit of cinnamon then as it kind of goes back further. Faint vanilla. On that first sip, I didn't pick up the fruit that I got on the nose. Let's see if I hit any of that on the second sip. Still getting that like heavier spice notes. Picking up some brown sugar. Still, like I said, still getting some of that cinnamon and that rice spice. But it's a pleasant experience. You don't get a lot of heat. So if you are a newer to bourbon, and this would be a really good one to kind of try out at the beginning of your bourbon journey. Shout out to Scott from My Bourbon Journey. So yeah, this is really enjoyable, real easy to drink. Yeah, I don't get the fruit notes at all on the palate that I did on the nose, which for me is a positive. I do hit a little bit of I can taste the barrel a little bit, but real light, not overpowering. And I have to say, if I compare this, and I'm not going to do a side-by-side comparison today, but if I were to compare this with my experience with Jim Beam White Label, this is a much more enjoyable drink. Not that I don't like Jim Beam White Label, it's perfectly fine. But if it is up to me, I'm going to spend a couple extra dollars to pick up the Repeal Batch than I am Jim Beam White Label. Jim Beam White Label is not one that I would really drink neat or on the rocks in too many occasions, whereas this I'd be perfectly happy to drink neat or on the rocks. Jim Beam White Label I would use more as a mixer. And this actually, I've used this as a mixer too, and it holds up really well as a mixer as well. Holds up really well with a cube of ice in it too. So I'm a big, personally, if I'm mixing, my personal favorite cocktail is an old fashioned, and I haven't made an old fashioned with this yet, but I also really enjoy a nice bourbon and ginger ale, and this holds up really, really well in some ginger ale. So it's one of my favorites. If I'm not in the mood to just drink bourbon neat or bourbon on the rocks, Jim Beam Repeal Batch and ginger ale, great combination. Also goes really well with Ale 8 if you're in the Kentucky area, or if you can pick up some Ale 8-1. I'll have to do a review of that at some point. Yeah, again, real enjoyable, but really picking up those heavier, darker rice spice, brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla, and a little bit of that char from the barrel. So overall, I believe this can vary depending on where you live. I think I picked mine up for 17 to 18 bucks, somewhere in there, in that price range. I've seen people on I'm part of a couple of different bourbon groups on social media. I know I've seen people in the Bourbon Sippers group on Facebook mention that they've seen this for around $10 on sale in their stores. I would definitely, if I saw that, I would buy several bottles at that price. Because it's great to have on hand. It's an easy sipper, it's a good mixer, and it's just a little bit, for my money, a little bit more enjoyable than Jim Beam White Label. All right, that's going to do it for this review today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to please hit the like button. Also, leave me a comment below. Have you had Jim Beam Repeal Batch? What do you think of it? What do you think of it next to Jim Beam White Label? What's your favorite Beam product, or do you not like Beam at all? Let me know in those comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. You can also follow me and as well as Max on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Bourbon and a Baby on all those platforms. And also check the description below for your opportunity to buy some fresh, new Bourbon and a Baby swag. So it's so fresh and new, I don't even have it to show you yet, but I'll provide a link in the description below where you can check that out. We've got some really cool t-shirts and other types of swag on there. So again, cheers.